The twin moons hung low in the purple sky as Kai stepped off the supply shuttle. He looked around the alien research base, metal walls rising from red sand, tall towers blinking under the stars. It was his first assignment outside Earth, and everything smelled different: dust, heat, and something like burnt fruit. The welcome was cold. Not rude, just quiet. Aliens moved past him without words, their eyes shining like glass. Skin in shades he had only seen in science books. He felt small, alone, and very human inside the command center. Commander Rin handed him a thin tablet. The alien's voice was deep and calm, but his eyes were sharp. "You are to stay in quarters C9, Rin said. "Shared section with the Sakari scientists." Kai nodded, pretending he understood everything. He was just a technician, sent here to repair a power core and observe interspecies tech. Nothing dangerous, nothing serious. Before Kai turned to leave, Rin placed a hand on his shoulder. "There is one rule," the commander said slowly. "Do not forget to lock your door at night." Kai blinked. "Okay, sure." Rin's grip tightened just a little. "I'm not joking, human," he said. "This season, the CZ females enter. A biological phase, pairing up season," he added, voice lower now. "It can be dangerous if you're not careful." Kai gave an awkward laugh. "You mean like mating season?" Rin didn't smile. "Yes," he replied. "They become driven. Their instincts take control, especially the young ones." Kai raised both hands. "Don't worry, Commander. I'll keep my door shut and locked." Rin finally let go of his shoulder. "Good," he said, "for your safety." And for hers. That night, Kai set up his tiny room. The walls were dull gray, bed narrow, and the only personal touch was a cracked photo of Earth taped near the lamp. He heard soft movements in the hallway, clicks and hums from aliens moving to their sleep chambers across the hall. A soft golden light slipped out from the door of quarters C11. He remembered what the commander said. C11. He remembered what the commander said. C11. Female logical phase. He shook his head and smiled to himself, like he was going to be some alien girl's random choice. He was just the maintenance guy with a backpack full of tools and instant noodles. He sat on the edge of his bed, eating cold rations, scrolling through mission notes. He was tired, and the desert planet's dry air made his eyelids heavy. Without thinking, Kai stretched, kicked off his boots, and collapsed on the bed. He forgot one thing: locking the door. Somewhere around midnight, the room felt warmer. Kai shifted in his sleep, blanket half off, dreams foggy and strange. He heard breathing soft but steady near his ear. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim red glow of the lamp. For a second, he thought he was still dreaming. Then he saw her. A figure sat at the edge of his bed, barely moving. It was a Sakari female, tall, smooth violet skin, silver markings on her arms glowing faintly. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, focused on him like a predator watching prey. Kai froze, heart pounding in his chest. Who are you?" he whispered. She tilted her head, her voice like wind over glass. "You didn't lock your door." Her words weren't angry, just disappointed. I forgot," Kai said, sitting up slowly, trying not to move too fast. Her scent hit him, then sweet, but wild, like blooming flowers after a fire. The girl moved closer, just a few inches. "You smelled different," she said softly, not like the others. Kai held his hands up gently. "Okay, listen. I think you're in the wrong room. I'm just a technician, not anyone special." Her eyes flickered with light. "You came during pairing season," she said. "No scent blockers, no door code." "Were you hoping to be chosen?" Kai swallowed hard. "No, I swear, I didn't know it was serious." The girl leaned closer, her face inches away. "I am not supposed to choose," she whispered, "but I feel something." He stood up fast, backing against the wall, trying to stay calm. "Look, Maybe we can talk about this later. In the morning, with the commander, she looked confused, even hurt. I'm not here to hurt you, she said, voice trembling, but the season hurts me. Then she looked at his hands. Touch calms the fire. Just for a moment, Kai shook his head, breathing fast. I can't, he said. I don't even know your name, she whispered Vera, and stood, towering over him. I'm trying to fight it, human, she said, but it's getting harder. He glanced at the door, but something beeped. She had locked it from the inside. Now they were trapped together in silence, in heat, in instinct. Kai's voice cracked. What happens if you lose control? Vera's eyes glowed brighter as she stepped back, shaking. Then, I'll beg you, she said, and I don't want to beg. Kai stood still, not breathing, not blinking, just staring at the locked door. His heart pounded so loudly he wondered if Vera could hear it. She was only a few steps away, but it felt like she was standing inside his skin. The red light in the room flickered again, casting shadows across her face. She looked both powerful and broken, like something fierce that had been chained too long. Her breathing had changed faster, deeper, like she was holding back a scream. I shouldn't be here, she said, voice shaking, but I couldn't stop myself. Kai opened his mouth, then closed it again. What could he say that wouldn't make things worse? She turned away from him, her back rising and falling like waves. In a storm, I smelled your presence the moment you arrived, she whispered, even through the metal walls. Kai stayed by the wall, his palms sweating. I'm not here for anything like that, he said. I was just supposed to fix a generator. Vera laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. I know, she said. That's why I came here tonight. Kai blinked, confused. You came because I'm not like the others, he asked. She nodded slowly, still not facing him. The males of my kind see only the cycle, she said. They see the pairing season like a game, a hunt, but you looked at me like I was real. Kai frowned, memories flashing back a few days ago. During lunch in the shared dining area, Vera had been sitting alone. Others avoided her, even her own kind. He had nodded to her, smiled once, said hello, even though she never answered. Was that enough? He asked. Just a hello? No, she said, turning around slowly. But it made me feel seen. Kai took a slow breath, trying to keep the room from spinning. We can talk, he said gently, but this thing in your blood, maybe it'll pass. She stepped forward, but stopped herself halfway. It grows stronger every hour, she whispered, and it hurts. Kai hesitated, then pointed to the small metal chair near his bed. Sit, he said softly. Just sit and we'll figure this out. She obeyed, almost too quickly, like his voice gave her something to hold on to. Her hands trembled in her lap, nails digging into her own skin. Kai walked slowly to the wall panel, pressing buttons to open communication, but it was locked. Vera had sealed the room from inside. You locked us in, he said, not accusing. Just stating, I had to. She replied, if I left, I might have gone to someone else. Someone who didn't care. Kai sat down on the edge of the bed. Keeping distance between them, he looked into her eyes, glowing faintly gold now, like fire behind glass. I care, he said, but I won't touch you unless you're in control. She nodded, eyes filling with something that wasn't desire-shame. I thought I was stronger, she said, but my kind wasn't built for patience. They sat in silence, broken only by the hum of the room's power core. Kai's thoughts raced, searching for solutions, protocols, anything that could help, but nothing in the manual prepared him for this. He wasn't a scientist, just a man with tools and a soft heart. Then, without warning, Vera stood again. Swaying slightly, her face was pale, and sweat beaded across her forehead. I need to lie down, she said, her voice thin. Kai jumped up, guiding her to the bed. careful not to touch more than her arm. She collapsed onto the mattress. Curling into herself, he grabbed a clean cloth, dipped it in water, and placed it gently on her forehead. She let out a shaky breath, eyes fluttering. "Shut. Why are you helping me?" she asked, barely louder than a whisper. "Because you asked," he said, sitting beside her on the floor, and because no one should face this alone. Her fingers reached out, brushing his knee, then pulled back. "I don't want to lose myself." She said, "I don't want the cycle to choose for me." Kai leaned his head back against the bed frame. "Then we'll wait it out together," he said. "And when you're yourself again, you'll decide what happens. No promises, no pressure, just presence." She closed her eyes and murmured. Then, "Don't leave." "I won't," Kai said. "Not until you ask me to, outside." The twin moons moved higher in the alien sky. Inside, a girl fought her own nature. And a human stayed by her side, not as a savior, but as a friend, but deep. In the system's logs, the temperature in C9 kept rising. Something old and instinctive had started, and neither of them knew if willpower would be enough to stop it. The room had grown so quiet that Kai could hear the hum of the blood in his ears. Vera lay still on the bed, her breath uneven, her skin glowing faintly with each rise and fall of her chest. He had sat awake the whole night, afraid to sleep. Afraid she might slip into something she couldn't return from. Hours passed. Or maybe just minutes on this alien planet. Time felt different. Kai's back ached from leaning against the wall. But he didn't move. He had promised he'd stay. Until she asked him to leave, but Vera didn't speak again. Not for a long time. Then slowly, she opened her eyes, golden light flickering like candle flames behind them. Her voice came out dry and cracked. "I thought you would run." Kai shook his head. "I wanted to," he admitted. "But I didn't." She sat up slightly, and he noticed her hands weren't shaking anymore. Her skin still shimmered with heat, but the storm inside her seemed quieter now. "I feel clearer," she whispered, "like someone pulled me out of a dream." Kai gave a small smile. "Good," he said. "You needed rest." Vera stared at him, studying his face like it held answers. "No one has ever stayed during the cycle," she said. "Not even my own kind." Kai shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe they were scared." "They were," she agreed. "But not for me, for themselves." There was silence again, and then a soft knock. Not at the door, but inside her mind. Kai saw her expression change, her pupils narrowing suddenly. "What is it?" he asked carefully. She looked away, pressing her palm against her forehead. "It's not over," she said quietly. "I only passed the first wave. There are more." Kai stood up. Now, truly worried. "What do you need?" he asked. "Tell me what to do." Vera's lips trembled. "There's a way." To slow the next one, she hesitated, then added, "But you might not like it." He waited, his chest tight. She finally whispered, "Skin contact." Kai blinked. "Like just holding hands, maybe more," she said. "But even a touch helps." Just until the fire dies again, he looked at her really, looked at her not just as an alien, but as someone fighting something bigger than herself. He walked over slowly and sat beside her on the edge of the bed. His fingers hovered, then gently reached for hers. Their hands touched, and her entire body shivered. But she didn't pull away. A warmth spread through her, slow and calming, like rain after drought. Vera let out a soft breath, her fingers tightening slightly. Kai spoke quietly. "Is this okay?" She nodded, eyes closed. Yes, they sat like that for a long time. He thought she had fallen asleep again until she spoke. "My people believe that touching during the cycle binds the soul." Kai didn't answer, unsure what that meant, but Vera continued, "I was meant to be bonded already. To someone chosen for me, but I ran." Kai raised an eyebrow. "You left your clan?" "Yes," she said. "Because I wanted to choose for myself." He nodded slowly. That makes sense. Vera's lips curled into a weak smile. It's not considered honorable, she added. But I'd rather be free than properly owned. Her fingers were still wrapped around his. Kai felt a strange mix of fear, admiration, and something else he couldn't name. The pairing season wasn't just biology, was identity, culture, rebellion, pain, and maybe even love. He looked at her face again, pale now, but calmer. And then, alert tone beeped in the air, sharp and cold. The screen on the wall blinked red. Vitals unstable subject, Vera core temperature rising, emergency threshold approaching. Kai stood quickly. Eyes wide, Vera groaned and curled into herself. Trembling again. It's too soon, she gasped. The second wave it's earlier than it should be. He reached for the wall panel, trying again to override the door. Still locked, still sealed tight. Vera, unlock the door, we need help, he said. She shook her head violently. No, she cried. They'll take me, bind me to someone else, I'll lose this. This, he repeated, confused. You, she said, barely audible, I'll lose you. The words hit him harder than he expected. She looked at him like he was the only real thing in the room. And in that moment, he knew if someone came and took her away now, it would break her. I'm not leaving, he said, his voice firm now. We'll get through this together. Vera reached up with both hands, touching his chest gently. Then hold me, she said, just until it stops hurting again. He wrapped his arms around her, carefully, respectfully. And as her body burned against his, Kai realized he wasn't just helping her, he was choosing to, outside the moons. Shifted again, inside the sealed room. Two souls tried to stay above the rising tide. The air in the room had changed. Thick and heavy like fog. Kai held Vera gently, her head resting against his chest, her breathing shallow, her skin felt too warm. But her body had stopped shaking. For now, he didn't speak, just ran a hand slowly down her back, his touch light like silk. She pressed closer, but not with hunger, more like someone clinging to the edge of a cliff. The fire in her had not gone out, only dimmed, waiting to rise. Again, Kai watched the monitor flicker in the corner. Red lines slowly flattening. Her heart rate was still high, but steady. She was fighting harder than he could imagine. After a long time, Vera whispered, "It's starting to pass." Her voice was hoarse. "Barely there. I can think again, Kai." Let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "I'm still here," he said softly. "I know," she replied. That's what helped. She sat up slowly. Her golden eyes blinking against the light. The glow on her skin had faded. Slightly, replaced by something else, exhaustion, maybe sadness. She looked at him like she was seeing him for the first time. "I didn't expect this," she said. "Not from you, not from any human." Kai raised an eyebrow. "What? The whole not running away screaming thing?" She gave a small laugh. The first real one he'd heard from her. Exactly. That, he smiled, but his mind was still racing. They couldn't stay locked in this room forever. The pairing cycle could last days, sometimes weeks. From what little he remembered from the database, "You need help," he said. "Real medical care." Vera stiffened. "No," she said quickly. "They'll mark me unfit. Once they know I bonded without permission, they'll report me to the elders." Kai frowned. Bonded. She looked away, her cheeks turning a deeper violet. During the peak, the mind reaches out. It chooses a partner. If that partner touches back willingly, the imprint is made. His mouth went dry, are you saying? "We're bonded." Her voice drops to a whisper. "Only if you felt something too." He looked at her, at the way her fingers were curled in her lap. Not reaching, just waiting. He didn't know what he felt: fear, respect, protectiveness, and maybe something warmer growing beneath it. "I don't know," he said truthfully. "But I didn't feel nothing." Vera nodded, eyes sad but soft. "That's enough," she said. "For now." A sudden vibration moved through the floor. A low rumble from somewhere deep in the facility. The lights flickered, then dimmed. Power core. Kai muttered, standing up fast. That was not normal. Vera tried to stand, but her legs gave out. He caught her quickly, one arm around her waist. "You're not ready to move yet," he said. "I have to," she said through gritted teeth. That rumble, it wasn't mechanical. That was a lockdown signal. Kai looked confused. "Lockdown why?" She looked at him, eyes wide with fear. "They're searching for unauthorized bonds." He swallowed hard. "You mean?" "Us." Vera nodded slowly. "They scan for emotional spikes and genetic markers. If they find me like this, they'll separate us. I'll be taken for testing." Kai's jaw clenched. "No," he said. "We're not letting that happen." He reached for his toolkit, pulling out a small cable and a hacking spike. "Can you stand if I help you?" "With you?" she whispered. "Yes." Together, they moved to the wall panel. Kai plugged the spike into the security port, hands moving fast. He wasn't a soldier, but he was a technician. He knew how to break into doors. The lock made a soft click, and the door hissed open. A narrow hallway stretched ahead, lit with cold white lights. No alarms, not yet, just silence, the kind that hides danger. He looked back at her. "You ready?" Vera took a deep breath, standing taller now. "If I fall, you run." "If you fall," he said, "I carry you." They stepped into the hall, leaving behind the room where it all began. But the bond between them, whatever it truly meant, was coming with them. And somewhere ahead, someone was already watching their path. Not all threats wear uniforms. Some wait in the shadows with rules and scanners and orders from high places. But Kai didn't care. He wasn't just fixing wires anymore. He was protecting something real. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. Kai moved with Vera, leaning on his side. Her steps slow but steady. Every door they passed had a scanner above it. Blinking, blue, searching, waiting. "This place feels different," Kai whispered. Vera nodded. Her voice low. "They're watching." Her skin shimmered faintly again. But not from the cycle. This was fear. They both felt it pressing on their backs, like invisible eyes behind every wall. Kai had memorized the layout. A gift from his long nights of boredom at the station. He led her down a maintenance path where the walls were tighter and the lights older. "Here, no one walked unless they had to." "You said they can scan for emotions?" Kai asked. "Yes," she said. "The pairing bond creates waves, strong ones, and fast. They'll detect us if we're close." Kai stopped walking, turning toward her. "Then we need to be calm." Vera tried to smile, but it faded too quickly. "I've never felt calm near someone I bonded with." He didn't touch her this time, just looked into her eyes. "Then think of Earth," he said. "Trees, clouds, wind, just for a moment." She closed her eyes and nodded. "I'll try." They reached a side tunnel, leading to a hidden vent system. Kai pried open the grate and helped her crawl inside. The metal warm from the station's core, it was cramped, and her wings usually folded neatly pressed against her back with a soft, rustling sound. "Didn't know you had those," he said softly. "Not for flying," she replied. "They sense emotion, heat, pressure." Kai gave a quiet laugh. "So they've been reading me this whole time?" "Yes," she said with a soft breath. "And they've never calmed like this before." They moved slowly through the vent, inch by inch. Behind them, distant footsteps echoed, followed by a mechanical hiss. Their scanning rooms. Vera whispered, "We don't have long." Kai reached a panel in the metal, punched in an emergency override code, and slid it open. They dropped into a dark storage room filled with unused tech crates. Vera stumbled, and Kai caught her. "Again, you need to rest," he said. "No," she insisted, eyes fierce. The next wave is coming. Worse than before, he helped her to the corner, where they sat hidden behind a tall case of thermal coils. Her skin began glowing. Again hotter this time. Her breath uneven, her voice thin. I tried to stop it, she gasped. But it's stronger now because of you. Kai stared, frozen, because of me. Vera nodded weakly. You stayed. You touched. It locked deeper, the glow. In her eyes returned, gold now tinged with deep red. Kai knelt in front of her, heart racing again. What do I do? He asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. Just stay close. She didn't lunge at him. Didn't beg like before. This was different. It was quiet suffering, like her body had surrendered, but her heart still fought. Kai placed his hands on her arms, grounding her, keeping her tethered too. The moment I'm not afraid of you, he said. She looked up, eyes wet but burning bright. I'm afraid of what I'll do, she said, not to you. To us, the pressure in the room grew heavy again, heat circling around them. Her cycle was spiraling, and her species instincts were no longer asking, they were commanding. Vera clutched his shirt, not out of desire, but desperation. I don't want to be a creature, she whispered. I want to be someone. You are someone, Kai said, his voice firm. You're not just a cycle or a phase or a body on fire. Your Vera. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Evaporating on her glowing skin, she leaned forward. Resting her forehead against his, I don't know how much longer I can fight, she breathed. Then don't fight it alone. He replied, wrapping his arms around her again. Let me carry the fire with you. Suddenly, a door slammed open somewhere down the hall. Boots stomping, voices sharp, unauthorized activity in Sector 4. Someone shouted. They've found the hacked panel, Vera said, her voice full of dread. Kai looked around the storage room, eyes landing on a transport case, the kind large enough to hide someone. Get inside, he said. She looked confused, weak. You? I'll stay out, he said. They'll search faster if no one's here. No, she said firmly. We stay together, but the fire in her was rising again, turning her words into trembles. Vera, he said gently, if they see you like this, they'll take you away. Let me protect you just this once. Her lips trembled, but she nodded. He helped her into the crate, placing a cooling sheet inside and sliding it shut, locking the outside with a magnetic seal. Then he stood by the doorway, waiting as the footsteps grew louder. They would come and they would question, but Kai had already made his choice. He was no longer just a visitor in this alien world. He was a shield. The door burst open, slamming against the wall as two security officers stepped inside. Their armor was dull gray, marked with the red crest of the Central Council behind their visors. Their eyes locked onto Kai like a predator spotting prey. He didn't flinch, just stood tall beside the transport crate, arms folded like he had nothing to hide. Human, one of them barked. This area is restricted. Explain your presence. Kai shrugged calmly. I got lost. The alien officer took a step forward, weapon half drawn. You hacked a wall panel 2 corridors back. Kai didn't blink because the ventilation was overloaded. I was following a heat leak to check on a faulty coil. A pause. Then the other officer looked at the crate. What's in there? Tools, Kai said. High-sensitivity scanners, coolant packs, and a few melted dreams. The alien tilted his head, confused human humor. Kai explained with a small grin. We use it when we're nervous. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the officer walked toward the crate. Kai didn't stop him, but he didn't move either. His eyes held steady, calm but unblinking. The officer scanned the outside but didn't open it. Instead, he turned back. There are scans detecting a high emotional spike, he said. Kai tilted his head. That's probably me. The alien stared. I was scared. Kai added, "You burst in like I murdered someone." Another pause, then a short nod. "Return to your assigned quarters," the officer ordered. "And file a report about that panel?" "Yes, sir," Kai said. Standing straight, they turned and left, the door sliding shut behind them. Kai exhaled. Knees weak now that the danger had passed, he knelt beside the crate and unlocked it. The lid lifted with a soft hiss. Vera lay curled inside, her body still burning with heat. Her lips trembled, and tears slid silently down her cheeks. "You lied for me," she whispered. "I protected you," he said softly. "There's a difference." She tried to sit up, but her limbs shook. Her voice was barely a breath. "The fire. It's too strong this time." Kai lifted her carefully, holding her close to his chest. "Then let's get you somewhere safer," he said. "But they'll scan again," she murmured. "The deeper the bond gets, the brighter it burns." He looked around, then remembered something old. Abandoned calibration chamber below the engine decks. Nobody used it now, too far from the main systems, too isolated. But it had one thing they needed: thick shielding, enough to block even council-level sensors. Kai carried her through back passages, avoiding cameras. Ignoring the voice in his head telling him to stop, she didn't speak, but her hands gripped the front of his shirt like she was hanging on to him more than air. The calibration chamber was cold and silent, its floor dusty with neglect. Kai laid her down on a padded bench and wiped the sweat from her forehead. Her glow was intense now, nearly golden white, her body trembling all over. "Achi, scared," she said finally, her voice cracking. "Me too," he said, brushing hair from her face. "But not of you." "Then what?" she asked. "That I'll let you down," he replied. "That I won't know what to do when it really matters." She reached up weakly, fingers brushing his cheek. "Just stay," she whispered, "even if I forget who I am. Just stay." Kai wrapped a cooling blanket around her and sat beside her, hand in hers. Her temperature spiked again, the glow flooding the room with soft light, but this time she didn't shake with fear. There was something different, something deeper. She wasn't just reacting to instinct anymore, she was responding to him. He spoke gently, telling her stories about Earth, about rivers, about forests where the wind sings through leaves. She listened between gasps, holding on to every word like it was a lifeline. Time passed slowly, like melting ice, and then her glow dimmed. Her grip loosened. Vera took a long breath and let it out. Her body going still, Kai leaned forward. Panic creeping in. "Vera." She opened her eyes slowly. The fire gone, only soft golden embers left. "It's over," she said weakly. "The final wave has passed." He pulled her close, arms tight, and let himself finally feel the weight lift. "You did it," he whispered. "No," she said, resting her head on his shoulder. "We did, outside the chamber." The council continued searching, but inside, hidden beneath layers of steel and silence, two souls had survived the storm together, not by force, not by instinct, but by choice. The chamber was quiet now. No alarms, no glowing skin, no heavy breathing. Only the soft sound of Vera sleeping in Kai's arms, her head tucked under his chin. Kai didn't move. Not even when his leg began to go numb. He just watched her face, peaceful at last, like someone who had survived their own storm. She looked younger somehow, or maybe just free. Outside life continued. Council officers marched through the halls. Guards checked doors, systems scanned for spikes. But inside this room, the world had stopped. Vera stirred a little, her fingers twitching against Kai's chest. Then her eyes opened slowly. No glow. This time, only soft amber. She blinked, confused, then focused on him. "You stayed," she whispered. He smiled, tired but real. "I told you I would." She sat up slowly, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders. Her skin was cool now, The heat cycle truly ended. "I feel like myself again," she said, voice clear for the first time in days. "But I'm afraid to ask if everything changed." Kai hesitated, then nodded. "Some things did," he said. "But not in a bad way." Vera looked down at her hands. "I remember everything, every moment, even when I couldn't think clearly. I remember your voice." It pulled me back. Kai leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I didn't know what I was doing half the time," he said. "I just didn't want you to suffer alone." She turned her head slowly, meeting his gaze. "My people think of humans as fragile," she said, "but you held the fire better than any Sakari I've ever known." He chuckled, rubbing his tired eyes. "I'm definitely fragile," he said, "but maybe not weak." There was a pause, long and soft. Then Vera reached for his hand. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now that the bond is real?" Kai didn't speak for a moment, then replied honestly, "I don't know. I didn't expect to feel this much." She gave a small smile. "Neither did I." They both knew the truth. In Sakori culture, an unapproved bond was forbidden. Especially with an outsider, the council wouldn't understand. And most likely, wouldn't forgive. "I'll go back," Vera said quietly. "Take the punishment, face the elders, whatever it costs." Kai turned sharply. "What?" "No, why would you? Because they'll come for me anyway," she said, "and I don't want them hurting you." Kai stood up suddenly, pacing the floor. "No," he said firmly. "There has to be another way." She watched him move, then asked softly, "Would you come with me?" He stopped, blinking. "Go where?" "Back to my world," she said. "Stand beside me before the elders. Prove this bond wasn't forced or faked." He hesitated, heart pounding. "I'm not part of your world," he said. "You are now." She replied, "Whether you wanted to be or not." He looked at her. The girl who had nearly lost herself to biology and fear. The girl who had fought her instincts just to stay human, whatever that meant, in her kind. He thought about Earth, about returning home, about forgetting this ever happened. And then he thought about Vera, facing that council alone. "I'll go," he said. "Not because of the bond, but because I choose you too." Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. She just nodded and said, "Then we face them together." 3 days later, a transport ship left the research station. Inside, Kai stood in formal clothing, unfamiliar and uncomfortable. Vera stood beside him. Her skin calm and clear. No heat, no glow, only strength. The council chamber was huge and cold. Dozens of ancient Sakari watched from stone seats, their eyes sharp and full of judgment. The head elder spoke. "You defy tradition," he said to Vera. "You let instinct bond you to a human, a species known for chaos and emotion." Kai stepped forward, and yet I stayed, when I could have run. When she burned, I held her. When she begged for help, I listened. The chamber was silent. Then the head elder asked, "Why?" "You owe our kind nothing." Kai looked at Vera because she asked me to see her. He said, and I did. The elders spoke for hours behind curtains of light. When they returned, their judgment was simple. The bond would be allowed but watched. A human had passed their most sacred trial. Not by blood or strength, but by heart. Later that night, on a quiet balcony under alien stars, Vera turned to Kai. "You could have left so many times." He nodded, pulling her close. "I could have," he said. "But something stronger than instinct made me stay." She smiled, laying her head against his shoulder. "Then maybe this bond wasn't an accident," and in the silence between stars, something new was born. Not just a love, not just survival, but a choice, a human and an alien. 2 different hearts beating in the same rhythm together.